Duncan Smith.
Deputy Speaker, thank you very much indeed. I rise to support the amendment in the name of the Honourable Member for Bethnal Green and Bow and myself and 41 other members. The Minister knows very well, because we've had this discussion before, but just in case it was to be private, I want to make it public. The reality is, not that I don't trust him or anything like that, but I just think it's helpful for him to know that. The reality is that this amendment seeks to bind or hold those involved in financial trade and investments against a definition of who they should not trade with and why. And to that extent, it brings in the concept of a genocide definition. Now, this is also in the trade bill coming to us, and I make no apology for supporting the member for Bethnal Green and Bow in this. As I understand it, although she will speak later, she may not actually move this, but that's not the point. The point is that it is now time to air this argument. For too long now, we've allowed ourselves to walk away from this issue of genocide without ever managing to haul any country guilty of this. Successive governments have found it impossible to act because these issues are referred, apparently, to the ICC. Now, the government says to me, it's a matter for the courts, for the international courts, but they know full well that any reference to the ICC has to come from the Security Council, and they will never come from the Security Council because at least two of the nations there will always block it, particularly if it's to do with them and particularly if it's to do with their allies. It is a distinct weakness, and I refer, of course, to the Chinese Communist Party of China and, of course, Russia. And just let me give you a couple of examples, Speaker, because we've already discussed and debated, Madam Speaker, that there are many times when companies, already this week, the Foreign Secretary came to make a statement. Companies invest, take trade from, and actually take goods from areas in the world that are using slave labour. We know, for example, there are many places, we talk about the Rohingya at the moment. What is happening to the Rohingya is, in my view, likely to be defined as a genocide. But also, if I look at China, just look at the Uyghurs at the moment, which is becoming more and more apparent every day that between 1 to 3 million now have been moved into labour camps. They are used as slave labour. They face forced sterilisation. There's been an 85% drop in their birth rate in that area, and they're being moved out of their original area of work, and they're no longer allowed to speak their own language. This is just one but very brutal aspect of what this amendment tries to deal with. As I say, there, 1994, the Rwandan genocide, nothing's happened. 1970, Bangladesh genocide, nothing ever happened. Cambodian genocide, nothing really ever happened. And Daesh genocide against Christians and Yazidis, etc., we still don't know what will ever happen if it ever does, and companies will never be held to account for what they were involved in. I realise that time is short, so I just want to say that this amendment, nor the one in the trade bill coming forward, does not tie the government's hands, does not give courts the right to just proceed with investigations without reference, does not give them the power to make criminal punishment, and does not strike down trade deals. But what it does, or to force criminal prosecutions, what it does is it raises to the attention of a government and the world at last that a court, a domestic court here in the UK, the High Court or maybe the Court of Sessions, will be able to rule that by all probability genocide has taken place, and any financial institution, company, organisation involved in that part where genocide has taken place or with that country would no longer be allowed to do so. But the government would have to make that decision. That is the point, to bring it back to the House. And I understand this week the Board of Deputies is coming out in support of not just this, but also, importantly, this provision in the trade bill coming forward to us. And also I understand the Senate, having seen what we've put forward, is now planning in the USA to do the same. We have a chance for leadership here, Madam Deputy Speaker, leadership in the world. That's what I thought we left the European Union, was to empower our courts and to give leadership. And I simply say, again and again I've been told by ministers, not this, not now, not here. A simple question I ask is exactly when, what and how, because it's never answered. And I read you this and I finish. First they came for the socialists, but I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. We need to speak out for all of those oppressed peoples, whether it's in finance, in trade, or take the moral high ground.
We now go to the SNP spokesperson, and just to emphasise that before too long I will have to take the time limit down to 4 minutes, and I know that the SNP spokesperson is aware of this. Alison Thulis.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy